Hello, welcome to my channel. Today, I want to make a doll of this anime character, Bunny Senpai. Here is my basic pattern I'm going to be using, and I'm just going to draw him out on some beige colored fabric. And let's speed up the cutting out process. Perfect. And here are the pieces for her outfit. So, what we need to do is hem the edges. So as you can see, I've done little slits around the top parts of the outfit. Now, to hold them in place while sewing, I'm just going to glue the ends down. This can be a little fiddly, so just take your time and make sure it's down and secure. It's a lot easier than pinning them with needles. And you're going to want to do the same on the back piece. And as you can see, the front piece is all flat. And so it's much easier to sew instead of using needles to hold them down. See? Nice and smooth. Now for the arm pieces, you're going to want to take two of them and cut two little slits where the shoulders would be so we can fold them inside out and stuff them later. And the same goes for the legs. And then you pin them all together and sew them all up. As you can see, for the body, I've sewn all around the edges except for a gap where the hip should be. This is so then we can turn it inside out and stuff it later. The reason I've put it at the hip is because when we attach the legs, you're not going to be able to see the ugly sewing that I'm going to be using to patch it up. And you're going to want to do the same with the legs. As you can see, the slit we made earlier is what you use to turn it inside out. You're going to have to be a little patient with this bit, but just persevere, it will go through the hole, I promise you. And you do this to all of your pieces. Now, we got to get to the stuffing. So you just grab your stuff, take chunks at a time, try not to do all of it in one go, and you're going to want to use a pencil to just shove it in right at the bottom of the foot, take another chunk of stuffing, poke that through in, and then another chunk, and just pile them all on top of each other. Make sure you get the last little bits. There you go. And now you're going to want to close up the hole. The type of stitching I'm using is a hem stitching, but you can use whatever type of sewing technique you prefer. Now that we have the feet completed, we now need to add in the stockings that we cut out earlier. As you can see, the black pieces of the socks that I cut out at the beginning of the video, I basically sewn together and used the exact same technique as I did with the legs. I added in the hole on the slits at the side, just like when we stuffed them, and we're just going to put them over like tights. See? And that is all our pieces done. Now we need to attach the head onto the body. As you can see, I left a gap at the bottom of the head, so then I had, a way to turn the head inside out and to stuff it. So I'm just using a ladder stitch around the bottom of the neck to sew the head on. And it's all done. It should be nice and secure. And now we need to attach the arms onto the body. Now, the legs I do differently because I like my legs to be bendy and flexible. So I take a thick piece of thread and I attach it to the inside part of the leg. And then I shove the needle through the hips. And then I attach it to the other side of the leg. And then I run the needle through the hips again. And I keep going back and forth with the legs. And as you can see, now she has bendy legs, so she could either sit or stand. Now for the eyes. I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm just going to roughly draw the eye shape that I'm going to do. Because Bunny Senpai has quite the more serious and sharp eye shape, I'm going to mimic that in a more simpler form, just so it's easier to sew on. Okay, now we need to sew on the eyes. I'm using a thick piece of thread that I've tied a knot at the bottom. And at the back of the head, I'm just gonna poke through and I'm gonna try and line the needle up along the line. You're gonna wanna take your time with this. You wanna get it just right and you pull it through. And then you're just gonna wanna go over the lines and be careful with the thread. It can be a little jaggedy, but just take your time, follow along the line as best as you can, because the eyes really do speak for the artwork. And here it is completed. Now I'm gonna wanna be filling in some black for the eyes, so I'm just gonna take my needle down as far as I want it to go and carefully place my thread down, and I'm just gonna keep doing this and go along the way of the eye. And this is the look I was hoping for. So I've left a little gap at the bottom so I can add in the color. Please ignore the messy back, it's gonna be covered with hair later. So I'm just gonna carefully put the needle through again, take the blue through, and I'm just gonna sew along that blank edge along the bottom of the eyes. This is just where I like to add in the color. And here she is all done. As you can see, I added in a little white shine in her eye and some eyebrows to add some more characteristics. So now we can start working on the hair. So for the hair, I use wool, as you can see, so I need to cut them all down so they're all equal lengths. So the easiest way to do this is to grab a book at whatever size you would like. You take the wool and you just simply wrap around until you have a lot. Then you want to take your scissors and you're going to want to cut the wool at one of the ends. So just be careful you don't damage the book while doing this, or if it's an old book you don't mind. And then you should have a whole weft of equal length wool. And keep repeating this until you have a lot. Now to attach the hair, all we have to do is create some lines to separate where exactly the hair is going to be, as well as a front line for the hair. To attach the hair, you're going to want to do back stitching. So let me show you. That little gap you see between the wool and the thread. So you're going to take your 2 strands of wool, fold it in half, and you find the middle point. You're going to want to lie that middle point down, just in between the wool and the thread. Then you're going to take the needle over the other side, push through, so then when you pull, the thread should sit firmly on top of the wool. So repeat this step. Now we need to do the top of the head and the front line. And the back part of the hair and all that is completed. But as you can see, we have some gaps around the side of the head, so we need to fill those in too. I'm back, and as you can see, I have filled in the sides. Now I want to add bangs, so we're going to add some wool here and on the sides. And here she is. So as you can see, I've added the fringe and cut it short so it sits just where I want it to. And I added some thicker chunks of the wool on the side of the head so it comes down more to the front and looks fuller and thicker. Okay, this is a little bit of a jump, but I quickly made the accessories for her wrists and her neck. I didn't record myself making these because I've never made them before and I wasn't 100% sure how to make them confidently, so I just gave it a try and added them. Now the bunny tail I know how to do. We're gonna make a tiny pom-pom. So a quick and easy way of doing this without, using cardboard, you're gonna take maybe a white piece of wool, split your fingers in like a V shape and wrap the wool around as many times as you possibly can while still having a gap in your fingers. when you've made it through the end, pull the leftover thread around through the gap in your fingers, and you're going to want to make a knot and just pull tightly. Then when you snip off the excess, you want to cut through the loops of the wool, and then you're going to use this time to trim the bomb into the appropriate size you'd like. Now we just gotta hot glue it onto her. Now for the ears, I cut out some bunny-shaped ears of crafting foam and I hot glued the bottom part so it had that natural bunny curve look. Well, considering that Bunny Senpai's ears are black, we need to paint them as such, so just take some black paint and get painting. So here they are, dried and completed. Now we can put them on Bunny Senpai. And here she is! There we go, I just hot glued them on and I made sure they were between the gaps of the wool. For her iconic bunny pin, I got some air drying clay and made a very basic bunny shape. Let's just hope painting it white would smooth it out. Maybe pink? I'm not the best with clay, as you can see. Now let's add some blush on her cheeks and she's all done. I hope you enjoyed my video. Hope to see you soon.